Hello and welcome to I'm Your Biggest Fan, the podcast that chats to your favourite artists about their favourite artists. I'm your host, Jazmin L'Amy, in conjunction with the Noizze podcast network and sponsored by Satanic Tico. Today, whilst he's on tour here in the UK, I am chatting with one half of the vocalists in metalcore band Annisokay, Christoph Wieczorek. To date, the German quartet have released 5 studio albums and 3 EPs, have toured the EU multiple times, and have set the record for the longest American tour ever by a German band. Christoph's personal favourite bands, and the one that got him into music though, are the new metal pioneering giants in Limp Bizkit.
I'm your biggest fan!
Cool, so we're going to get started. Obviously, the first and biggest question is, do you remember the first time hearing Limp Bizkit?
No, honestly not. It's way too long ago, but it was probably on MTV back then, around 1999 or 2000, and it was the song Break Stuff. Yeah.
Oh, of course. I remember, I don't think I've ever actually watched MTV, but we had like Kerrang and Scuzz TV that would play music videos of bands. So that's where I've heard a lot of Limp Bizkit from.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a different time, basically. I mean, you only had TV, and this was the only source for getting to know new bands, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And when you did hear Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit for the first time, what were your initial thoughts?
That's hard to tell, honestly. It's just so long ago, but I think in the first moment I didn't really like it because I was of course pretty young back then, and I wasn't really sure what kind of genre of music I like. Because the other bands I remember I listened to back then was The Offspring or Alien Ant Farm, maybe a little bit later, and also later Sum 41, and like a bit more happy punk rock things, and Limp Bizkit brought me more to the darker music side of metal, if you can want to call it like this. And so it's hard to tell, honestly. It's just so long ago, but I don't think I liked it in the beginning, but then I listened to it more and more, and also to other songs, and then I got into the music. Yeah, and I loved the mix of rap and metal back then.
Yeah, it's interesting you say there that like when you were younger, you were more into like the happy stuff, and then you didn't get into Limp Bizkit until a bit later. Because what I found as well is I find like when you're a lot younger, you don't understand music's meaning as much. And then obviously the older you get, the more you realize like how many different pockets of shit life actually has.
Yeah, and also like for me, I mean, I'm German, and I didn't really understand the lyrics until a few years after I listened to it for the first time, which was also an interesting fact because, of course, in the beginning, you just like the music and the vibe, and now if I read more into the lyrics, sometimes they're a bit cringe to me, but most of the time I actually like them, and I said that I didn't notice it back then, but it's funny.
Yeah, and so besides Break Stuff kind of being like the first song you heard, what's become your favorite song since then?
Oh, that's hard to tell.
Because I find like, at least with me and the bands I love and growing up listening to, my favorite songs seem to be some of like the first ones I heard, maybe because there's like nostalgia to them or they have a bigger meaning. But what's kind of like become yours over the years?
That's interesting. Honestly, I listened to I tended to listen more to albums back then rather than singles. The whole listening behavior was different back then, and I just listened to the second album, the Significant Other, I guess was it, and the third one, the Chocolate Starfish one. I just listened to these albums so often, and it's honestly hard to pick a favorite. Of course, there's Rollin', which is like their biggest song ever,
Hmm.
and but I wasn't really into it. It was too mainstream for me. I actually like more the heavy ones, like also old songs like Nuki, for example, is an
Yeah.
amazing song to me, and then there came some newer songs. Even they had a lineup change with West Borland leaving and having another guitarist coming in, and they released one song called "Eat You Alive," and
Hmm.
this is also a really nice banger, which actually kind of inspired me for some songs of my own band. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that is cool. Keeping on the topic of Annisokay, so you have 5 albums and a couple of EPs now. How has your love of Limp Bizkit influenced your own music writing, and how has that changed over time?
Hmm. Yeah, interesting question. I think the most inspiration I got from them was the guitar playing
Okay.
because when I started playing guitar, I was a big fan of Wes Borland and his style of playing, especially his way of doing clean sounds and clean melodies and stuff. And if you listen to the older records of Limp Bizkit and hear, just listen to the melodies he's playing on his guitar in the clean parts, and then listen to our old albums, you notice a lot of parallels, and that's probably the biggest influence, and also the way rhythmically how they use groove and
Hmm.
mix groove into metal. That's also what really inspired me. Like our our songs are basically most of the time mid-tempo songs, so not really fast and not also really slow, but more like slow to mid-tempo stuff and being really groovy. You just have to nod your head to it, and that's what kind of inspired me a lot as well. So yeah, and I don't know how it changed over time, but probably I got inspired less and less over the years. Um, and yeah, there was one moment where I met Fred Durst at a festival, which is a funny story, but maybe we can get into this later.
No, I want to
Yeah.
hear about this now.
Yeah, I mean, it was 2019, I guess, so right before the pandemic. And we played a festival called Full Force Festival.
Hmm.
I don't know, I don't think we even. Oh, yeah, we played there. But on a different day, Limp Bizkit was headlining. And I was just there backstage, still hanging out and talking to some people and watching shows. And yeah, and then they played and they were headlining, and of course, coming to the backstage afterwards. And yeah, he brought some, well, the tour manager brought some girls with him so he can just hang around with having some girls around him, which was a bit awkward.
Of course.
But uh, I mean, it was just his thing, and it felt like he didn't really enjoy it because the girls weren't saying anything. So he was just sitting there talking to his own, basically, and the girls were just watching him in an awkward kind of way. And so me and my colleague from my studio called Julian, um, we we entered this area kind of and just sneaking by like, hi, hey, what's up? And then we started kind of getting involved into this how can I call it, like a group of people. And uh and then he noticed, yeah, we want to talk. We actually talk with him. The other girls don't talk. And then at some point he said, yeah, okay, girls, what nice meeting you and see you later. And then the GM brought them all away, and just me and my friend was left basically.
Hmm.
And we were like having a beer and chatting a bit. And this was about 1 a.m. And we sat there until 5 a.m. in the morning and basically talked about everything. And it was so crazy for me. But because, of course, I told him, yeah, you were my most favorite band when I was younger. And it's so crazy that I meet you now. And then we were sharing some music. I showed him one of our demos, and he showed me one of his new songs from the Biscuit. And this was a crazy thing, actually. And I noticed one thing, that he's more, he's not the guy in the reality that he pretends to be. Like, he's not that crazy and angry and aggressive. Maybe that changed, of course, over the years because he's way older now. But
Mm.
he told me that that's kind of a role he just created for himself, like Fred Durst, the guy who hates everyone, and he just decided to create this character and play it basically over all the years. And that's what you notice when you talk to him a bit, that it's a different guy that you would expect. So this was all pretty cool.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
really cool. It's interesting as well that like he is such a nice person in real life, because I find one of the things I really like about Limp Bizkit is they're so self-aware of who they are and the music they've made and the influence that they've had as well. And they know that a lot of people don't like them. So they really play into that and it works for them.
Yeah. Yeah, also they had some periods in their life, in their band life basically, where they didn't even like each other, you know. Like Fred told me that they don't even hang out at all. Like they never go to a restaurant together and just talk. It's just they're they're like colleagues and doing music together. But when they're on stage, it's a totally different thing. They get back into the same vibe they had 20 years ago, and just the music is what connects them.
Yeah.
It was really interesting what he told me about this. Yeah. So yeah, and of course they play with their image, and now I feel like they're hated even more. I read a lot about critics about their live show and everything, and I mean, yeah, you get older, you know, so things change, and maybe not always for the better. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. When you did meet him though, like did you have, for lack of a better term, a fangirl moment, or did you manage to keep yourself relatively calm and collected whilst meeting him?
Yeah, I kept totally calm, and that was probably the reason why he just started talking with us in a normal way, because we actually talked about this in the beginning, because we noticed all the girls were like, oh, so shy and not it's I mean, it's his life, like it's his work. I don't even know why the girls were there in the first place, but I mean, he's a guy like that wants to talk with normal people and not
Mm-hmm.
having all the time people being so strange to him, like not saying anything, being shy and everything. So uh, he needs social interaction, and if he's on tour all the time, I think when you meet someone who's talking to you on eye level, then this it's very more interesting for you than when you have someone. "Yeah, can I take a photo?" And then
Mm-hmm.
it's already, you know, it's
Yeah.
already it has this kind of like different level of yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's why I really like why I love doing these interviews, because I'm not sure like how much you got told about this before we started this, but like quite often with social media, it's so easy for people to get so invested in other people's lives and to forget that musicians are just normal people like us as
Mhm.
well. Which is why I wanted to do these interviews, because I imagine, you know, album cycle after album cycle and tour cycle after tour cycle, it's the same questions kind of thing. And I wanted to do this just to like bring you guys back to like the reason you got into music in the first place and the bands that made you want to do this in the first
Yeah.
place, and to like remind fans that musicians just started out as fans as well, which I think is pretty
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's totally interesting. When I read about this inquiry I got via the email, then I was like, what's my favorite band? I don't even know. And then because I honestly don't listen to that much music anymore, because I produce music and I work with music all day long. So I tend to not have the same nice feelings anymore when I listen to music that I had back then. So the emotions are a bit, yeah, dried out. I don't know how to explain it, but then I thought more about it, and I was like, yeah, I mean, if I have to choose one, especially that inspired me over all the years, then it's Limp Bizkit. And the more I thought about it, it was interesting to think about how it influenced me, and so it's a nice like perspective change that you create with this kind of interview. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I feel the same way as well. So I'm a publicist, my full-time day job, and I also used to work for Hold Tight, so I have sent out some Annisokay press releases before. So I feel like if it's not music that I'm working on, or if it's not like my comfort bands from my childhood, then I find it really difficult to get into new music these days. So this is also like quite a selfish way for me to learn about other bands as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But going back to when you got into Limp Bizkit as well, you mentioned that the kind of stuff you were listening to at the time, like Sum 41 and Alien Ant Farm, like they were like happy bands for you. So when you finally got into Limp Bizkit, what was so different about them that stood out against everything else you were listening to at the time?
Yeah, it's interesting. Also, one more band I would like to mention there is Bloodhound Gang, which was actually the band I listened right before hearing Limp Bizkit for the first time. Bloodhound Gang was also really inspiring me. I just love the sound of the guitars and the drums, and this is what also sticked me to Limp Bizkit. And what when I grew up, then you get into this teenage age, and you get in this pre-emo phase that I was in, and uh, yeah, you have these teenage depression times, and you're sitting in the bus and having your earpods in, and you look at everyone like, "Oh, I hate you all." And I'm like, if you knew what the music I'm listening to, then you would know, like these kind of weird thoughts. And I got more and more into the new metals genre, and listen to bands like Stained, who are really depressive, especially these old albums. Yeah, this was a band that influenced me a lot as well, and I just liked the sad melodies with combined with the heavy parts and the aggression in it, and yeah, so it kind of represented my own development of of my own mind back then. Yeah, so yeah.
They were your angry music for angry times.
Exactly, and it didn't change that much over all the years. I mean, then there was like emo core coming up. It kind of took over from my new metal phase. So uh, yeah, so that's how everything evolved, I guess. I mean, after emo core, then you got more into metalcore, and how everything like happened. But what kept it all together were the emotions, and what translates through the music and gives you that feeling that you're understood, and you know what I mean, like you're feeling at home when you listen to this music.
Yeah, absolutely. You feel like you're not the only one with those feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of course. So you mentioned there as well that you'd met Fred Durst at Full Force Festival. I'm assuming you also watched their show. How many times had you seen them live before that?
This reminds me of another funny story. Actually, I saw them twice live.
Okay.
It took me a lot of, or many years to see them live for the first time, because I remember they didn't come to Germany often back then, and when they did, they canceled the shows because of some weird reason, like voice or something, or he had a pain in his ankle, or I don't remember. It was really weird, and I was so sad all the years that he couldn't make it to one show. And then I think in maybe 2016 or something, I watched them in Hamburg, and I was there alone. It was the first concert I ever went to alone, just because I really wanted to see them, and it was nice. It was cool. I loved it. And one funny thing happened on stage. I was a what are these things called in English? Like inflatable naked puppet thing
Okay,
that you
yeah.
can use as a sex toy thing, and it was floating or flying around the whole venue, and eventually landed on stage, and Res Bolin took it and put it beside his amp, and at some point at the show he just destroyed it. He stabbed it with something, and it deflated, of course, and it was a really strange moment. And I was like, he looked really angry for some reason, like real angry, not only played, like
Yeah. Man needs to go to therapy.
yeah. But I mean, I was a big fan of him, and funny enough, I wrote a comment under. Yeah. No, I got another memory. He posted, "I hate everything" or something like this on Instagram,
Hmm.
and then I answered. I replied on the comment section, and I was like, "Yeah, I saw that you hate everything when you stepped that sex puppet or whatever. What is it called? I
It's
mean,
a
there's a
sex
word for it.
doll.
Yeah, sex doll,
Yeah.
exactly. Uh, I saw your hate when you stepped at sex doll. And I hope everything is fine and there's no reason and something. That was kind of the way I replied to this.
Hmm.
And then he blocked me. And I didn't ever see any Westmoreland posts anymore since then. So your idol blocks you. And yeah, and then I watched their show in 2019 on the Full Force Festival, and I was able to watch it from the side of the stage, which is so cool because
Hmm.
Limp Bizkit is a band that likes to have people on the stage on the side watching them,
Yeah.
and they even put a sound system for them to listen to this show. So you're not only hearing drums and something; you actually hear the full mix because they put some monitor wedges in front of you. And also ask you if you want something to drink and if you're
Oh,
fine. And yeah, it was so nice.
nice
And then you
VIP
see,
treatment.
kind of, yeah. And then you stand there and enjoying the show, and it was actually great. I loved it.
Well,
Yeah,
and
and
did
I
you
did,
go
yeah, I
on?
did. I wasn't able to talk to Res Warren about the blocking thing, so
So you're still
yeah,
blocked?
I'm still blocked. I can only see him when I go to our Annisokay Instagram profile. Then I can see his post, but not with my own one. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's insane. So all you did was ask him if he's okay, and he
Hmm.
blocked you.
Yeah, I mentioned the sex doll. Maybe that was the. I don't know what happened. Honestly, I didn't write anything mean, of course, because I'm a fan, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an interesting thing.
Oh my God, that's insane. So so you've only seen them twice, and the first time was in 2016.
Mhm.
So how
Or
was
15 or 13, I don't remember honestly. It's been a while. Yeah.
yeah. So when you did eventually get to see them, like that's quite a long time from when you would have gotten into them to finally seeing them live. How was watching them live for the first time? Was it everything you'd hoped it would be? Tell me about that.
Well, when I watched them first for the first live for the first time, I wasn't listening to them that much anymore because it was way later than my fanboy times, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I was more mm, objective about the whole thing and
Right.
more rational and yeah, I loved it, of course, and I really enjoyed how they perform because there's an interesting musical fact about how they do it. Usually nowadays, every band has a click in their like a metronome in their ears and
Mm-hmm.
are playing onto click. Um, and this band doesn't do this. They just jam with each other. Like Slipknot, for example, do the same thing. They don't have a click running, and so it feels more organic
Yeah.
and sometimes the songs are way faster than they are on the record. And yeah, I really enjoyed it how they do this. Um, yeah, but other than that, I enjoyed the show, but I wasn't a fanboy anymore. So yeah, that's changed already.
So you're watching it very, very objectively.
Yeah.
Amazing. So if you had to direct someone listening to Limp Bizkit for the very first time, what three tracks would you suggest encapsulates them perfectly?
Yeah, definitely break stuff like I mentioned before.
Mhm.
And Rollin' because it's obviously worked for a lot of people. And I think the third song would be Take a Look Around because I really love how they did this Mission Impossible theme
Mhm.
cover. Just one of my favorite songs. I did a when I was young, when I was at school, we had kind of a project where we had to shoot a video, like
Oh, that's
any
cool.
kind of video. And what we did was a music video for Take a Look Around, and I still have it on VHS. It's on tape, you know.
Oh my God.
It's Yeah, I just found it recently and digitalized it. And it's so much fun. I was Fred Durst, and my friends from school were the band, and we made up a story. And yeah, so anyway, that's just a funny side fact. But yeah, these three songs would be my pick, I guess.
Okay, cool. I want to know if so this VHS tape that you've digitized of you making a music video to take a look around, is that ever going to see the light of day on the internet?
It would make a trend on TikTok, I guess, but because all our friends would like laugh so hard. But
Maybe
yeah,
if you posted it
maybe
and got the attention of Wes Borland, he would unblock you.
maybe, or maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I have to think about it. I mean, it's obviously awkward because I was like 15 or something. So, but it
We've all been
still
there.
was. Yeah, but at the same time, it was still pretty good. And I'm still like nowadays producing all the music videos for our band for Annisokay. So it kind of was the starting point of the whole music video thing for me. So it's interesting to see because it wasn't that bad, honestly. But maybe I release it one day.
Oh, that's really cool though, that not only has Limp Bizkit influenced you like musically, but also like when it comes to doing music videos as well, if that was like one of the
Mhm.
first ones you did and Limp Bizkit were a part
Definitely,
of
yeah.
that as well, like it's cool to see how they've also influenced other pockets of your life too,
Hmm.
which is quite cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, also my whole teenage years, like emotionally and mentally, I don't know. I think they had an influence somehow. Yeah. Also, my first guitar that I ever played was the same model that Wes Borland played back then. Funny enough,
That's so cool.
but
That's cool.
I still have this guitar, but I don't play it. Yeah.
You only play it in your special moments to yourself.
It's a cheap one. It wasn't the original model. It was like a replica, and it's only standing in my corner of my living room, but it's still there.
It's got pride of
Yeah.
place.
Hmm.
So you mentioned there that the three songs you'd recommend to people would be Break Stuff, Rolling, and Take a Look Around. And obviously those are like the big quintessential like big singles of Limp Bizkit. But which tracks do you think are hidden gems and are underrated that some other people might not have heard of before?
That's a good point. I Let me check real quick because I'm not sure if I remember the names correctly. But there's one song on the first album. The first album was called $3 Bill You All, and the song is called Stuck. I love this one. It's so heavy and aggressive, and I just love the way Fred Durst screams there. It's so real and rough. So Stuck is a good one. And let me check real quick. Which other ones? I mean, Rearranged is a cool song. It has this bass lick in the beginning, and it's a really more emotional and quiet song. And one last one I can tell you is Boiler. Definitely Boiler.
Oh yeah. Good choices.
Yeah,
So do
thank you.
you happen to be a big fan of band merch?
Not really. I still own two Limp Bizkit shirts. I still have them. They don't fit anymore, but I still have them in my uh yeah. What's it called? Fuck, I lost the word. Cupboard? No.
Wardrobe.
Wardrobe. Yeah. Uh yeah, but other than that, not that much of a big merch guy fanboy.
But
Yeah.
you do have two Limp Bizkit shirts. How old are they?
20 years. It's the one I was wearing in the video. So yeah, it still
Uh,
exists.
do you remember like the first time you bought those ones?
No, honestly not. I don't even know how I got them. but not at the show, obviously.
Yeah, of course. So like what designs are they? Like what do they have on them, the two different ones?
The main one just has the Limp Bizkit logo on it on
Okay.
the chest, and the other one has, I think, the chocolate starfish artwork on it, or the significant other artwork. I don't really know, honestly. Look back. Yeah, been a while.
Nice. So how come you're not a big fan of merch in general then?
I can't tell you. I mean, it's just I'm not wearing it right now. Like when I got older, I'm not wearing band shirts anymore. So I can't tell you. I don't know. I just wasn't a big fan of it any time in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with their releases as well, they've had some pretty big chunks of time pass by between their last couple of albums. The last two, there's been an 8-year gap, and then the latest one, there was a 10-year gap. How long do you think it will be until the next one?
I honestly didn't even listen to the newer stuff.
No? How come?
Not really. Yeah, I kind of lost the interest in this new music. It's a bit sad. It's a sad story, but when I mean, I listened to it once, I guess, but I didn't feel like I have to listen to it again. I feel like the whole fire I have for their music is still burning for the original songs, and that's it. Like it's when you watch the trilogy of a movie. Like, for example, for me, it's Back to the Future. It's like one of these kind of trilogy where you love the movies and everything, and you connect it to your memories and emotions. And if they would ever do a new part, a part 4 or something, then I would hate it probably because it's just something different. It's not the same anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my honest opinion about it. So I don't know when they're going to release a new album, but maybe 10 years, another 10 years or something.
Yeah. If they did release new music, like what would you want it to sound like?
Probably as much as or it's close to the first album they released as possible. Like the more rough stuff and war, like energy thing. But it's hard to do this because I can imagine. I mean, he's over 50 years old now, and I can imagine that the emotions he got when he did this record back then, 30 years ago, were so real and true that it's hard when you became older to do something like this again.
Yeah.
So music artists change as they get older, obviously, because people change as they get older. So I would love an album like this, but it's impossible, I guess.
Yeah, I read that so the first album that they did, or was it the second album? Either one, the first or second album was basically Fred Durst's like breakup album. Like every single song on it was like about his ex and about a breakup, which is why it was so angry. So maybe we need Fred Durst.
We need another breakup, Yeah.
Well, to roll off this interview, we're going to play a fun little game. Obviously, Limp Bizkit are known for like some quite cringe, questionable lyrics. So I'm going to read off some of the wackiest lyrics I could find, and you're going to tell me if you think they're Limp Bizkit lyrics or if they were written by someone else. I thank God, Mum and Dad, Adriana, the sky, for the love I feel inside. Jordan, my fat ass band. Without him, I'd be nothing but a pumpkin shoved inside a can.
That's Limp Bizkit lyrics.
That is indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2. I met a girl. She asked me my name. I told her what it was.
Really? I'm not sure. I don't think so, no.
True, it's by Razorlight, the song Somewhere Else.
Okay, nice. So it's actual lyrics, but not from them.
Yeah. So number 3. Oh babe, I want to put my log in your fireplace.
Oh, it could be, yeah. It's. I could imagine, but I would say no.
Okay, yeah, it's a song by Kiss called Burn Bitch Burn.
Nice. Yeah.
Number 4, it's my ass and your perfume that make temptation hard to refuse. So I guess we undressed to have sex, dirty sex.
Yeah, that's definitely Limp Bizkit. I know the song.
Number 5, get a house in Devon, drink cider from a lemon.
Nope.
True, it was by Feeder, a song called Buck Rogers.
Crazy. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty good at it. I nailed it.
You are, yeah. There's like a couple more. Because now it's time to pay the piper. Bums are the type of shit that's in a diaper. Don't make me have to call a sniper and wipe your brains off my windshield wiper.
Definitely
You dirty
Limp
bug.
Bizkit. Yes, you didn't. 2 lines would have been enough for me to tell.
Okay, next one. I know a mouse and he hasn't got a house. I don't know why. I call him Gerald.
Nope.
That's a song by Pink Floyd.
Yeah, I mean it's influenced. I remember these kind of bands influenced Limp Bizkit actually.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt that I'd love to sniff on them panties now.
That's the Limp Bizkit lyric.
True. And the very last one. Not much has changed, but they live underwater.
Whoa. Oh, that's hard. I don't remember it. Maybe it's from the newer album. I have to guess. I would say no.
Right, it's Busted, the year 3000. So yeah, you got them all right.
I got them all right. I did. Wow, that's cool. Nice.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, so those are my last questions.
Nice, cool. Yeah, I didn't win anything though, I guess, but it was great fun. I want to thank you. It was really fun. And I can't wait for this to be released.
Thank you for listening to I'm Your Biggest Fan. If you enjoyed what you heard, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, send it to your nan in the post. Every little helps. You can follow us everywhere at biggestfan_pod. Follow me everywhere at Wrathchild_jazz. Noizze at Noizze UK on everything. Noizze Podcast Network at Noizze Podcast Network on everything. And Satanic Tico at Satanic Tico and at Pitch Black Nor. If you have a band member in mind that you think would be perfect for this podcast, perfect for this topic of conversation, or maybe you are the band member and you're the super fan, drop us a comment, drop us an email. All other info can be found below in the description. And thanks again for listening. We'll catch you soon.